Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing something a bit different. We're not just opening a history book.
No, not at all.
We're sort of stepping through a time portal, really, right into a world that's ancient, brutal, and maybe surprisingly familiar in some way.
Eerily familiar, yeah.
Forget the marble statues, the grand emperors, the Hollywood epics with the gleaming armor. We're deliberately skipping past that Rome.
It's a postcard Rome.
Exactly. This deep dive is about the real Rome, the everyday grind, the unsung masses, the raw struggle for survival that fueled the whole empire. We've pulled together a stack of really fascinating sources. They peel back those layers of grandeur to show, the shocking reality, the daily toil, the overflowing chamber pots, the unbelievably crowded tenements.
Where millions lived and died, yeah.
Our mission here, like always on the Deep Dive, is to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, the insights about the daily life of the ancient Roman poor.
It's a shortcut, really.
It is. A shortcut to being well-informed about a prospective history often just glosses over. So maybe turn the lights down low, get settled. Because in just a moment, you're about to wake up in ancient Rome.
And let's be blunt about it.
And here's the brutal truth. Odds are you're probably not making it through the day.
And that perspective is so crucial, and it's forgotten far too often. History loves the big names, the big events.
Right, the emperors, the battles.
Exactly. But when we focus on a day in ancient Roman poverty,
right,
we're fundamentally shifting our lens. We're moving away from power and conquest narratives, which are important, obviously.
Sure.
But we're focusing instead on the lives of the vast, anonymous majority. These were the people whose backs literally built the empire. Their labor sustained it.
But they're stories. They're just not told, not carved in marble.
Rarely even named. So this deep dive, it aims to give you a profound shortcut, a way to get truly well-informed about this less glamorous but absolutely vital part of Roman society.
To understand the why behind it all.
Precisely. Why their struggles mattered and why maybe their stories still resonate today.
Okay, so let's do it. You've just woken up. But let's be absolutely crystal clear. You are not in a sprawling palace.
Definitely not. No marble villa, no servants with grapes.
No. You've landed exactly where most of Rome's population live, where the plumbing is theoretical at best.
Well, like wishful thinking.
And the walls feel like they're, one loud sneeze away from collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And your upstairs neighbor sounds like he's practicing gladiatorial moves.
Yeah.
All night.
Yeah.
Long.
You're in an insula.
Right, the insula.
And that word itself, insula, it tells you so much, doesn't it? It's Latin for island.
Island, like isolated, stranded.
Exactly that. Stranded right in the middle of a bustling, chaotic city. And if you're lucky, maybe you're on the 3rd or 4th floor.
Lucky. Why lucky?
Because any higher, and you're basically living in the attic of a fire hazard, a place of just constant low-level dread.
Oh, right. So lower was better.
Much better, but much more expensive. Our sources, they describe these buildings vividly. Built from brick, wood, and what sounds like just a massive amount of wishful thinking.
Built cheap and fast.
Absolutely. Not built to last. They'd sway in the wind. You could feel it. They'd lean against each other like drunk friends holding each other up.
Wow.
And the structural integrity. Think maybe a stale loaf of bread left out in the rain.
Okay, a stale loaf of bread. You can't even toast. Because you mentioned fire hazards. Open flames were banned.
That's right. Officially banned in the rooms. The risk was just too high. Imagine that restriction.
Yep.
One dropped lamp, one cooking fire gets out of hand.
And the whole block goes up, your whole island.
Exactly, like a Saturnalia bonfire. Taking everything you own, which, let's be honest, wasn't much right along with it.
And the room itself, you said tiny.
Unbelievably cramped. Maybe the size of a modern walk-in closet. 10 feet by 10 feet, if you were really fortunate.
Wow.
And inside that tiny space, your cot and the source uses that word very generously.
Right, not exactly a Tempur-Pedic.
Not even close. It's barely more than a frame. Rope strung across wood, some straw thrown on top, and a blanket, maybe. Threadbare, smelling distinctly of, everyone who used it before you. The walls, perpetually damp, stained with who knows what, and they're so close you could probably lie on your side and touch both walls at the same time.
And privacy. Forget it, right?
It's not just a luxury, it's a complete fantasy. You're sharing this incredibly tiny space with several other people.
Other people, like family or...
Could be family, could be other renters crammed in, and one of them, as our sources note with this kind of grim humor, is coughing constantly, dramatically, like they're in a bad play.
Oh no.
But it's not drama, it's almost certainly tuberculosis. Very common, often fatal in these conditions. Overcrowded, unsanitary. It was rampant.
So just to recap, the higher the floor, the cheaper the rent.
Yep.
But the worse the conditions, and the higher the risk of fire or collapse.
Exactly. A horrifying daily trade-off. Affordability versus a much, much higher chance of sudden death, either by fire or the building just giving way.
That's just awful.
It is. The rich lived below on the sturdier floors, better access, more light, way less risk. The poor were literally living up in the rafters of a tinderbox.
And nobody fixed anything. Landlords just didn't care.
Pretty much invisible. Their only concern, rent collection, repairs, forget it, not a priority. Fires were common, floods too, and what the source bluntly calls sudden unexplained death.
That's part of life.
Yeah. An insula collapse wasn't a big tragedy in the public eye. It was, and I quote, a Tuesday.
Wow. That says everything about how they viewed the tenants.
Completely disposable, replaceable cogs. Your value is measured by how quietly you suffered and if you paid the rent on time.
So you're always sort of packed, ready to run.
Makes grim sense, doesn't it? Living in constant low-level fear of smoke, your few things always ready to grab, it sounds utterly exhausting.
And the noise.
Oh, the sensory assault. The moment you wake up, it's not birds chirping.
No, I bet not.
It's the rumble of wooden carts on the street below. Vendors yelling olives, fish, bread, maybe. Donkeys braying like they're dying. Kids crying. Arguments from 2 floors down echoing through the thin walls.
You hear everything.
Everything. Your neighbors' arguments, their snoring, their gastrointestinal tragedies, as the source puts it so colorfully. No escape from the sounds or the smells.
And pests. You mentioned pests.
Oh yeah, everywhere. Mice, rats scurrying boldly across the floor, flies thick around any scrap of food, mosquitoes breeding in the open drains outside carrying malaria, and of course the bed bugs. Constant maddening itching. Never really stops.
So you step out of this cut onto the floor. What's that like?
Cold and sticky. The source describes it as this unholy mix of spilled wine, urine, maybe some olive oil,
Oh, lovely.
and dampness everywhere, leaky roofs, overflowing pots, mold growing behind your sleeping mat. So for you, waking up here, it's an immediate visceral shock, a total reevaluation of basic living standards.
It highlights the vulnerability,
Yeah.
the lack of dignity.
Absolutely. Every surface, every sound, every smell reinforces that you are at the very bottom, exposed, utterly without comfort. It's a constant assault on your person.
Okay, so you've somehow survived the night in this precarious apartment, which is an achievement in itself, right?
This definitely counts as a win.
Now for the joys of the Roman morning routine. Starts with the communal chamber pot.
Always full, waiting for you.
Always full. And then the grand tradition, dumping it out the window onto the street below.
That's the system. Supposedly you shout, cave, watch out.
Right, cave. Like anyone actually did that consistently.
Our sources are pretty clear. Nobody did, or very few did. So the streets, predictably.
Reeked. Urine, feces, spoiled food. Source said dead dreams.
Poetic, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Open gutters, waste flowing freely, a constant thickening miasma, a real olfactory assault to start your day.
Which leads right into personal hygiene. Or the lack thereof.
Pretty much. By our standards, anyway. No showers, no soap like we know it, definitely no toothpaste.
So how did you wash?
Maybe a quick splash from a public fountain, if you felt fancy. And didn't mind sharing with, 14 other people and maybe a stray dog licking a wound.
Okay, vivid. And teeth.
Scrape them with a stick. Maybe rub some ash on if you were feeling bougie, as the source puts it. Trying for freshness.
So your breath probably smelled interesting.
Like a fermented mixture of old lentils and existential dread.
Another great line from the source.
Wow. They had a way with words. And clothes. Just the one tunic.
Pretty much. One tunic, rough wool, maybe linen, stained in ways you stopped trying to figure out long ago, smelled perpetually of mildew and, well, human.
No deodorant, no underwear.
Nope. Tied at the waist with a rope, prey it holds. Modesty, it seems, was mostly reserved for statues and upper-class poetry. Not for you. That single worn tunic said everything about your status.
And that skincare routine you mentioned, the oil and scraping.
Yeah, the stridle. If you could afford the oil and had a stridle, rub oil on and scrape it off with this curved bronze blade.
Ancient Roman exfoliation by pain is how it's described. Butter yourself up, then peel off the grime and dead skin. Not exactly a spa treatment.
So basically, hygiene was a luxury item.
For the most part, yes. Maybe you could get to a bathhouse later if you had the coin. But right now, this is it.
Okay, after that lovely start, maybe you head to the latrina, the public latrine.
If one was nearby, yeah. Now picture this.
I'm bracing myself.
12, maybe more people, all doing the exact same thing, side by side, on a communal stone bench with holes.
No divider.
Absolutely no dividers, no privacy whatsoever.
And the toilet paper situation.
Yeah.
The shared sponge.
Ah, yes, the infamous tellurium. A communal sponge on a stick, dipped in a trough of vinegar water between uses.
Shared. Everyone used the same one?
Everyone used the same one. Rinse, wipe, put it back for the next person.
Okay, wow. No wonder nobody made eye contact.
Can you blame them? It really highlights a completely different concept of, well, sanitation and personal space, and health, frankly. A breeding ground for disease.
So what was considered clean was just radically different.
Radically different. It underscores the communal, often undignified nature of life. Even intimate bodily functions were public, shared.
All right. Deep breaths. After surviving all that, it's time for breakfast. The intaculum.
Which, as our source so perfectly put it, is basically Latin for don't get your hopes up.
Just meant to prevent immediate death. Love that phrasing.
And it often barely managed that, typically. Yesterday's bread, hard as marble, probably, made from coarse barley or spelt.
Touch the rich wouldn't touch.
Exactly. You'd maybe soften it by dipping it in watered-down wine, which tasted, and I quote, like vinegar with trust issues.
Ah, okay. Any extras?
If you were really lucky, a few olives, or maybe a smear of garum.
Ah, the fermented fish sauce. Rome's favorite condiment.
The ketchup of the ancient world. If ketchup were made from rotting mackerel, they put it on everything.
So no coffee, no eggs, no fruit smoothies then?
Definitely not. Compare that to the rich. Fresh bread, cheese, olives, maybe fruit, honey. A world of difference.
And you mentioned pulse. That was common.
Oh yeah, ubiquitous. Basically a thick, bland porridge. Boiled grains, maybe some chickpeas thrown in if you were lucky, often just boiled dampness, sat like an anchor in your stomach.
Just calories, basically.
Purely caloric survival, this constant dull hunger, it never really went away, even after eating. Food, varied food, was expensive. Meat was incredibly rare for the poor.
Unless it was like a festival handout.
Exactly. Rare occasions, milk spoiled too fast, cheese, eggs, luxuries. Most protein came from beans, lentils, and, as the source jokes, dreams.
It's just a diet of sheer survival.
Absolutely. And water access was just as shaky.
Even with the famous aqueducts.
Yeah, the aqueducts supplied public fountains, but the water quality depended entirely on where you were in the system and how well it was maintained.
So if you were at the end of the line,
You were getting backwash, basically. Water that had already been through baths, toilets, maybe industrial areas. More like tepid mineral soup with a hint of lead.
lead from the pipes.
Often, yes. Chronic health issues were common because of it.
So what did people drink?
Often pesca, a mix of vinegar and water. Tasted pretty grim sour, sharp,
But safer?
much safer. The vinegar killed bacteria, masked foul tastes. It highlights how fragile even Rome's celebrated infrastructure was for the poor. If the aqueducts failed,
Everything collapses. Baths, sewers, fountains.
civilization starts to unravel. It shows that grand infrastructure often served the elite or public image more than universal health.
The cost of Roman cleanliness wasn't just money.
It was biological, paid by the poor. So yeah, what's fascinating here, and frankly quite shocking,
It's just how different meeting basic needs was. Waking up, drinking water, eating, all fraught with indignity, constant risk.
it really makes our modern conveniences feel like, well, like miracles.
Miracles stacked one on top of the other. It's not just about redefining clean or fed.
No, it's about what it means to be fundamentally secure in your daily existence, something they just didn't have.
Okay, you've made it past the morning horrors. The day's barely begun, though. And now comes the really crushing part. Work.
Daily grind.
Stepping outside your insula.
Yeah.
It's described as a war zone of the senses. Vendors screaming, oxen just defecating in the street,
A lovely image.
flies swarming everywhere, especially over the fish stalls, maybe a rooster being killed somewhere nearby. The air smells like disappointment and burnt offerings.
It's chaos, organized, smelly chaos, relentless.
And you just keep walking, keep surviving.
Yeah.
Because, as the source says, in ancient Rome, that's the entire point.
Exactly. For most poor Romans, free or enslaved, work wasn't about fulfillment or ambition. It was raw, immediate survival.
Plebeians were just muscle for hire.
Expendable muscle hired for the day. No fixed schedule, no contract, no benefits. You worked because not working meant not eating. Miss a day, you might lose your spot entirely.
What kind of jobs are we talking?
Brutal stuff, hauling bricks, mixing mortar for some emperor's new vanity project, being a porter, carrying huge bundles through crowded streets, street cleaner, fish seller, potter.
Or even latrine attendant.
Yes, one of the grimmest. Paid, as the source notes, in pity and a few bronze coin.
And the conditions.
Yeah.
Just brutal.
Unbelievably so. No labor laws, no unions, no required breaks, no safety gear, no helmets, no gloves, and absolutely no complaints allowed.
Or else?
Or else the overseer uses the stick he's carrying. If you fall off a scaffold, you're not helped. You're shoved aside. Someone else takes your place immediately. That's harsh.
It's pure efficiency, Roman style. The tanneries are a particularly vivid example.
Oh yeah, what was that like?
Imagine spending all day knee-deep in a mixture that would make a modern sewage worker gag.
Oh, okay.
What mixture?
Animal skins soaking in huge vats of urine and dung, fermenting in the sun, no gloves, remember? Stirring it with your bare hands, the stench just clings to you.
Oh my God.
And the pressure of rent, often due every few days. Miss one payment, you're out, evicted, instantly. 5 men waiting to take your place.
That constant disposability.
It's a huge psychological burden on top of the physical one.
And if you were a slave, even worse.
Harder still, because now you don't even get the satisfaction of wages. You just worked, complain, whipped, collapse, replaced, die. Someone else gets your blanket. No concept of rights.
Just property.
Exactly. Household slaves fetched water, cleaned, cooked meals they'd never taste. Even educated slaves, tutors, readers faced arbitrary beatings, could be sold on a whim.
If the master's wife didn't like them.
Precisely. No protections, no court to hear your case. You are property.
And field slaves on the big estates.
The latifundia. Even worse, arguably. Toiling outside the city. No roofs, no days off. Sun up to sunset. Heat, cold, sickness, didn't matter.
Overseers with whips.
Whips, chains for those who slowed down. And for rebels, crucifixion. Publicly displayed along roads as a warning. Even skilled slaves, stone carvers, potters lived under constant threat of violence.
And women. Slave or free, they work too.
Absolutely. Often in quieter ways that bleed just as much. Grinding grain, incredibly hard work with heavy stone hand mills. Making bread, washing clothes in cold river water, fetching water, cleaning, mending, weaving.
Or selling things. Midwives.
Selling small goods, yes. Wet nurse, midwife. And in desperation, prostitution.
Which was legal, right?
So legal and taxed, yes. But not a profession of glamour, it is survival. A grim choice made out of dire need for a few coins. Endless, thankless work for everyone.
It's staggering to think. The aqueducts, the grain ships, the swept streets.
It all happened because of people like you. Invisible, indispensable labor, the true, unsung backbone of the empire, utterly nameless.
And doing this work. The risks weren't just exhaustion.
No way. Disease was constant, terrifying. All the filth, the overflowing latrines, the Tiber being both drinking source and sewer.
So a small cut could kill you.
Easily. Infection was rampant. Minor fevers became sepsis. Broken bones turned into gangrene, and there was no doctor, no apothecary for your kind. You just hoped. And hope wasn't much help.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, Rome's grandeur.
Was built entirely on this constant, brutal, thankless, often lethal labor. It shows what it meant to be utterly replaceable. Just a warm body valued only for your output and how quietly you suffered.
Right, after hours of that kind of work, you'd think maybe a bath, a moment of peace. That would be the one small mercy.
And Rome is famous for its baths, absolutely. Magnificent structures.
But let's manage expectations here. This isn't a hotel spa with cucumber water and lo-fi music.
Not even close. This is public bathing Roman style. And for the poor, it was much more about routine survival, basic necessity, than actual luxury or pleasure.
So the thermae, architectural marvels, you said.
Oh yeah. Domed ceilings, mosaics, statues, sometimes even libraries. But you weren't there for the art appreciation.
You were there to get clean before you became a public health hazard yourself.
Pretty much. Entry cost a quadrans, the smallest coin, so technically accessible, but the social hierarchy, it walked right in with you.
How so?
Well, senators, equestrians, they might be lounging in the warm rooms gossiping, while slaves or the poor are scrubbing themselves quickly in a corner, hoping not to be noticed.
Okay, and the process itself wasn't exactly relaxing.
Far from it. First, the changing room, the apodyterium, no private lockers, big risk of getting your clothes stolen.
You only had the one tunic.
Exactly. And the enslaved clothes watchers, sometimes they were in on the theft. Lose your clothing, you might be walking home barefoot, wrapped in shame.
Ouch. Then the exercise yard, the palestra.
For men, yeah. Wrestling, weights, javelins. But for the lower classes, it wasn't really sport, more a place to quickly prove you still had some physical worth. Run a lap, fake a squat, get to the water.
Muscles too sore anyway.
Right. Then inside the sequence, frigidarium cold plunge, tepidarium warm room, caldarium hot steam room.
But no soap, just oil and scraping.
Just olive oil, rubbed on, then scraped off with the stridle. Dirt, sweat, everything comes off with it.
And zero privacy.
None. Naked among dozens, maybe hundreds, noisy, crowded, the air thick with oil, sweat, and mildew. Not serene.
And you mentioned the heating system. The hypocaust,
Yeah.
run by slaves.
Yeah, underneath the floors, fires raging constantly, slaves tending them, shoveling wood in these suffocating, dark, airless rooms.
And some died from the heat.
The source notes grimly, some die from the heat, but their deaths make the marble hot to the touch. That was truly the cost of Roman cleanliness, a hidden human toll.
Wow. And the water in the pools? Not exactly pristine?
Not drained or filtered between users, you were literally bathing in a soup of skin cells, hair, oil, and whatever else floated off the last 100 bathers.
Oh God, people just relieve themselves in there.
And corners, yeah. Blood from shaving cuts, nosebleeds, all part of the mix. Perfect breeding grounds for illness.
Skin diseases, infections, lice, plague.
All of it. The stone benches were often slick with something unidentifiable, yet for many, this was the only way to get properly clean.
It really forces you to rethink Roman cleanliness, doesn't it? It wasn't always about health.
Often more about public image, elite comfort, than genuine public health for everyone.
But despite all that, they were important social hubs.
Absolutely. Vital civic rituals. News spread, gossip was traded, deals were struck. For a few minutes, rich and poor sweat together. A rare, if superficial, shared space.
But still divided by class and gender. Women's bathing was different.
Much more complicated. Separate hours or separate, less grand buildings limited their access and social function. And enslaved women, horrifyingly, sometimes forced to bathe publicly as an exhibition.
While the rich had private baths.
Of course. Bellium in their villas, heated, scented oils, never had to mix with the masses or endure the public squalor.
Okay, moving beyond baths. Religion. It was everywhere.
Everywhere, all the time, not just Sundays. Baked into the bricks of the forum, painted on insula walls. Over 100 festival days a year, you don't choose to participate, you live inside it.
Part of the daily fabric.
Completely. Morning offerings to household spirits, lares and penates for protection, little street shrines for offerings. Piety was social currency, slack off, and your neighbors might get suspicious.
And the big gods. Jupiter, Juno, Mars, Vesta.
Always present. The divine was never more than a few footsteps away. You constantly acknowledged them.
And the festivals. You said one for mildew? Really?
Robigelia, yeah. They had festivals for everything. Lupercalia, Saturnalia. These rituals reinforced social order, but also gave a sense of belonging, of being part of something bigger.
Even if the rich sacrificed bulls and the poor just offered a small figure.
Exactly. It was grand theater of collective belief. Everyone had a role.
And foreign cults. Isis, Mithras. They were viewed with suspicion.
Often, yeah, by the traditional elite. And Christianity especially was seen as treasonous, rejecting Roman gods and Caesar's divinity. That was a direct threat to public order and piety, made authorities very nervous.
And then there's superstition, just woven into everything.
Like a second skin. Avoiding ladders, bird omens, shouting salve, if someone sneezed, interpreting dreams, reading entrails, even emperors consulted augurs.
Fear of the dead too. Restless spirits.
Deeply feared, the lemurs. Annual rituals like the Lemuria festival to appease them, stop them causing trouble.
So why believe all this? Why was it so ingrained?
Well, think about it. No modern medicine, no science explaining disasters, no psychology. The gods provided explanations for fires, infant deaths, spoiled harvests. It gave structure, rhythm, a way to understand and cope with the constant chaos.
So cleanliness wasn't just health. It was ritual purity. Social display.
All deeply intertwined, daily life, social structure, belief systems, you couldn't separate them. It permeated every single moment.
Okay, so the day is winding down. Long shadows stretch across the streets. Smells of sewage, oil, smoke, sweat. They probably cling even heavier now.
Not that you have time to notice.
No, because now you're about to learn about Roman justice.
Yeah.
Where it isn't blind, it just chooses not to see people like you.
Exactly. As a plebeian, a freedman, certainly as a slave, you are at the absolute bottom of the legal ladder. Law wasn't about fairness.
It was a tool.
A tool of control. written by the elite for the elite to protect property, preserve hierarchy, make terrifying examples of the lower classes. Justice was purely transactional. No wealth, no connections. The law was a weapon pointed squarely at your neck.
So if someone accused you, say, theft, missing sandals.
That could be enough. Hauled in for questioning. And the burden of proof, it was on you to prove you were innocent. Almost impossible.
And if you were a slave, guilt didn't even matter.
Often not. The question was just how much pain was needed for a confession. Torture wasn't just legal, it was expected.
Because slaves had no honor.
That was the chilling logic. They can't be trusted to tell the truth without persuasion. Whips, branding irons, racks. And if your master was murdered,
all the slaves could be executed.
Rounded up, tortured, executed, regardless of guilt, just to be sure the killer was among them. Terrifying collective punishment.
Yeah.
Pure terror tactic.
Even as a free citizen, if you were poor, lawyers weren't really an option.
Advocati worked for favors mostly. Bribery was common. Trials dragged on. Judges were from the same elite class as accusers. Connections matter more than evidence. That was the real law.
And punishments? Public and brutal.
Designed for maximum humiliation and deterrence. Flogging, exile, execution. Scaled savagely by status. A patrician might get quiet exile. A plebeian. Chains, public lashes. Worse.
Execution methods varied too. Beheading versus crucifixion.
Beheading was for citizens, quick, merciful, non-citizens, slaves, rebels. Crucifixion was likely. Agonizing, public, slow. Left for the birds. Romans saw it as a spectacle, a final degrading performance.
Even petty theft got you branded. Sold into slavery.
Could happen. Repeat offenses, definitely.
Yeah.
Rome had no concept of rehabilitation. You were useful or disposable.
And debt was a huge danger.
Massive trap. Couldn't pay. Creditor could seize your property, even your body. Imprisonment, bond servitude, forced labor. The system was predatory, kept people struggling.
Justice itself was a spectacle. In the forum, the market.
Totally. Part legal process, part blood sport, and part civic theater. Crowds gathered, cheered, jeered. Criminals might even be thrown to beasts in the amphitheater.
Seriously.
For entertainment.
It happened. Stark warnings, distractions from grain shortages.
Yeah.
All part of the show. And women had even less protection.
Much less. Husband could kill wife for adultery. Father's patria potestas absolute power. Domestic abuse. A family matter. Silenced. No recourse.
Religion offered no protection. Questioning it was treason.
Absolutely. No separation of church and state. Impiety was swiftly punished. And prisons, not for reform, just holding pens. Dark, filthy, overcrowded despair. Most don't leave alive. The Talanum, the Mamertine prison, infamous.
And that ultimate punishment, damnatio memoriae, erasing memory.
Condemnation of memory. Names scratched off records, statues defaced, something uniquely cruel about dying twice.
But did that even apply to the poor? Were their names even recorded?
That's the key point. For the prominent, it was profound public humiliation. For the poor, their names often never had a full name recorded at all. Their existence was already largely unwritten.
So their erasure was just the default.
Pretty much their survival strategy. Stay invisible, keep your head down, avoid debt, avoid conflict, and pray your name never comes up in a whisper that matters.
And then death. It came early.
Came early and it came often. Life expectancy, maybe 25, 30 years. Skewed by massive infant mortality. You didn't really pass away, you just fell apart.
Accidents, infections, starvation, violence.
Minor fever, broken bone, no cure. Last days spent suffering in a cramped tenement. No hospitals, no nurses. Bodies often found days later by the smell.
If you were a slave, your body was just dumped.
Dumped without ceremony. In mass graves, puticuli. Pits filled with layers of anonymous corpses outside the city walls. No headstone, urn, prayer. Roman efficiency at its most callous. Erased even in death.
Poor free Romans, only slightly better.
Marginally better. If they could afford a burial club, a collegia, maybe basic cremation, modest ceremony, small plaque or urn, otherwise, off to the pit with everyone else.
And the afterlife wasn't exactly appealing either.
Murky and uninviting. Souls, manes, wandered restlessly unless appeased by rituals, which the poor couldn't afford, leading to fear of hungry, vengeful shades causing trouble.
Such a contrast to the wealthy. Tombs, mausoleums, names remembered.
While the poor, as we said, often never had a full name recorded at all. And political death. Executed bodies denied burial. Crucified bodies left to rot. Utter indignity, final erasure. Anonymity in life. Anonymity in death. Hashtag tag outro.
Okay. Let's just take a breath. Gently, carefully. come back to right now,
Yeah.
back to the present.
Right now, you're probably lying in a bed, a real one, blankets that aren't alive, a roof that isn't about to fall in.
Hopefully.
You likely have access to medicine, clean water right from a tap, food that doesn't involve a risk assessment.
You probably brushed your teeth today.
You're listening to us on a device. You are not fighting for survival in that ancient, brutal sense. Not like that Roman peasant.
And yet, that peasant you sort of embodied today, the one scratching lies, haggling for olives, dodging chamber pots, hauling bricks, they still matter.
They were real.
Millions of them, anonymous maybe, but real. Their backs built the aqueducts, the temples, their voices echoed, unheard mostly, in the forums. Their bones literally paved the roads across the empire.
They bore the weight. Silently, thanklessly. Without inscription, history forgets the poor, gives us marble busts of emperors. But underneath it all, countless men and women. Never wrote a line, never stood in the Senate, never had their likeness carved in stone.
And maybe that's why this deep dive, this story was worth telling.
I think so. Because for a little while, maybe just tonight, you lived their life. A fraction of it.
Felt the rough straw, the cold, the hunger, the sheer indignity.
You didn't last a full day, obviously, but you came closer to understanding their existence than most ever will.
So when you wake up tomorrow, maybe carry something with you.
Yeah. Not guilt, not pity, just perspective.
Perspective. That clean water from your tap, not guaranteed. Hot food, not a given.
Your soft bed, your toothbrush, your medicine, your toilet, they aren't minor luxuries, they're staggering miracles.
Miracles stacked one on top of the other, born from centuries of struggle, from broken backs and forgotten lives.
So as this fades out, just take a moment, quiet appreciation.
Like a peasant.
They're the reason you're not one.